Good morning, everyone. This is CJ with Quiz City STL, and today's video topic is pond filters. More specifically, custom pond filters. We always get people asking us, what's the best filter for my pond? And unfortunately, the answer is very, very nuanced, and you can really spend a lot of time researching tons and tons of different options. But today I'm going to be discussing homemade pond filters, which is what we here at Koi City have opted to use for all of our ponds this season. In the past, we've used stuff like pressure filters and canister filters, but this video is going to discuss homemade pond filters, which is what you are looking at right now. This is a 110 gallon Tough Stuff stock tank from Tractor Supply. You could probably get it at other farm and agricultural stores, but this one's from Tractor Supply, and this is completely custom by us. The only thing we had to do was install the two overflow pipes right there that you can see right there, and then this inlet pipe that's made out of PVC, and then the corrugated drain pipe that's flowing into and adding the biological media in this filter. So I'll kind of go over this first, and then we'll branch off into several other topics that I feel it's important to know when you're choosing your filter. So we have a pump running from our main pond over there. The pump's about 3,000 gallons per hour. It's connected to this PVC, which is 1 1/4 inch PVC. It's running up here. This used to be buried, but due to flooding, it's eroded significantly, so we need to cover this back up. That used to be covered. Goes up here. I know I'm probably going to get comments that this is very terrible plumbing, and I completely agree with you. This was a quick fix for an issue that we were having with our previous custom filter here. So this was just a quick fix. So I know it doesn't look good and it's not optimized, but it's what we have for right now, and it's working just fine at the moment. So this PVC feeds into this corrugated drain pipe, and it's important to note too that this one came pre-drilled with drainage holes. You can get ones without drainage holes. I guess you could do it yourself if you wanted to really get in there and customize it to how you want it to flow exactly. But this one was just pre-drilled with custom drainage, little, very tiny, I'm not sure if you can even see it, they're very tiny holes, but there's a lot of them, like a sponge, so that the water can escape from all different points of this pipe, not just the end of the pipe. So that, you can't see it, but you'll have to imagine it runs in a straight line all across this pond, which is about maybe less than 4 feet, maybe like exactly 4 feet or so. And then this is what's called an upflow biological filter, or you might even have it be referred to as heard it previously referred to as a wetland filter. I know that's what Aquascape refers to theirs as, but this is essentially the same thing in principle. The water is entering this corrugated drain pipe. It's flowing down under these lava rocks, and it's cycling up. It's flowing up through the rocks, and the lava rocks, and that's how it is being filtered, through those lava rocks. You can see in here the lava rocks are bagged. That's just for ease of maintenance, to take them out, wash them off every spring and fall cleaning. You don't have to do that if you really don't want to, but if you opt for not doing that, you definitely would want to install a clean out system in this, a place where you could drop where there's a cleared patch of area straight to the bottom of this, where you could throw in a pump and vacuum out all the sediments from below. But because we have these all bagged up, we typically just take them out and clean the entire system. And it is labor intensive, but that's how you get. That's how you make sure your water stays healthy. You gotta clean it every season, every spring, every autumn. You want to clean it out to the best of your ability. You don't have to get it squeaky clean, and in fact, I would against getting it to that point. You really just want to do a rinse off. Make sure you get as much of the muck and sediment and fish waste as you can, and then you're pretty well set to go, which is what we do. You can see in here also, I didn't mention, there's a huge thing of extra metalamat in there. That was just from the previous filter. We didn't want to throw it away, obviously, so we just repurposed it, and it's sitting in there. And it's so porous, and it's so filled with surface area, that's just really, I'm sure there's just tons and tons of beneficial bacteria on there, which is incredibly healthy for the ecosystem for this filter. So that pretty well covers this. I forgot to mention too, these outlets, at least for this application, are 2-inch PVC outlets, or I'm not sure why I'm saying outlets. These are 2-inch PVC pipe connected to 2-inch bulkheads. You can't see the bulkheads here. Not sure if I can get that. Okay, there we go. You can see the bulkheads. I think I've said in the previous video, we love to use uniseals. So that's what all of our filters are using for bulkheads, uniseals. And then those two pipes drain down to the stream. I think that pretty well covers this one. However, the video is not going to be over just yet. I want to show you some other options, and then also kind of go over why some of the myths and general confusion that surrounds pond filters and choosing the correct pond filter for your specific application. So I'm going to go head over to the other ponds, and then I'll discuss that and a few other things as well. All right, everyone, I'm back at the main retail pond. This is, if you saw the previous video, you know this is a above ground pool that we repurposed into a retail pond where we sell our koi fish for the season, the smaller koi fish. That lily is also for sale too. I'm sure somebody will purchase that. This is a beautiful lily. But anyway, we have the koi in here, the retail koi that we sell. But anyway, this is what I came over here to show you. This is a 50, I think it's a 55. Let's see, it says it on here. Yep, 55 gallon Rubbermaid Brute trash can. You can get these at any big box hardware store. These are really awesome for filters because they are very compact. It's a trash can, so it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's tall, which means that you can pack so much media into these, and the camera doesn't really do it justice. You would have to see it in person. It's a very big trash can, so you can just pack this full of media, which is what we've done. All of our filters as of right now use either lava rocks or a mix of lava rocks and bottle caps from plastic bottles, like soda bottles, water bottles, any kind of plastic bottle. I would not use aluminum or anything like that for it, because that could, I'm not sure if it would affect it, but it's best just to use the plastic stuff. So yeah, either any of our filters are either running lava rocks or lava rocks and bottle caps. In here, we can see the hyacinth are just absolutely taking off in here. That's something that's absent from the filter I was just showing you. You notice that there was no plants built into that bog style filter, and we could add plants if we wanted to, but we just opted for just putting in tons and tons of media. Whereas this one is a mix. It's a mix of media right here, which you can't see. I'll try to get you a view in here, but under all this hyacinth, you can see in here, let's see, okay, there you can see it. There's a giant ring of metalamat like you saw in the previous filter. There's a layer of metalamat on top that kind of, you can see the debris even loosening when I move the hyacinth, which does a very good job of capturing that debris. And then you'll just have to, I can't pull it out in this video, but you'll just have to imagine under that, there's the same media that you saw in the previous filter. There's bagged lava rock, which makes for very easy cleaning and disassembly of this filter when it's time to pack it all up for the season. You can see this filter just works really, really well. The hyacinth are loving all the nutrients that pass by the roots. The metalamat does a great job of keeping that waste and detritus and everything else that flies into the pond that you don't want to be there in place in this filter. And it is essentially like a pond trash can for the fish waste. All the fish waste accumulates in this trash can, which is really awesome, and it makes for very easy maintenance for your pond. Now, the only flaw with this one that I admit is completely my fault, and it's because we were in a rush to get this set up this year. There is no drain on this one, and now that I come to think of it, I didn't show the drain on the previous filter, but there is a drain on the previous filter that I showed you. It's a uniseal. I think it's 1 1/4 inch PVC, and it would be right here on the other tank. But like I said, this one we were in a rush. We didn't build it, but we will once we take it down this year. I'll drill another hole and then put a bulkhead right here, and it'll drain out from the bottom, and we can effectively clean it without even taking any of this out, which is great, and makes for very easy cleaning. But like I said, didn't have time to do it this year, so I'll do it this season when we close this down for the winter. But something like this is just awesome because I think it's very practical. It's very compact for what it offers. Sure, it's a little bit big, but I mean, it's built vertically, so you don't have that much of a real estate space being taken up by it. Whereas the one you saw over here, it's a very large tank, so it takes up a lot of space. So, this is great if you want something really large, but don't really necessarily want to take up a ton of backyard real estate. So that's it's definitely, I would say, the go-to, or it should be the go-to for most people. I want to talk to you a little bit about, we'll walk over here to the other ponds while we talk about it. I want to talk about the confusing metrics that these pond product manufacturers use when trying to sell you a pond filter, a pre-built pond filter, and we've all seen them. And right now, I'm gonna edit in videos that I took at my local big box Lowe's. I think it was a Lowe's, and you can see in this video that there's a ton of pond products on the shelf. None of them are that great looking, at least from my perspective, because we've tried these products firsthand, so we know which ones are somewhat acceptable and which ones are just downright awful. I guess I should start by saying that you should never buy a liner from Lowe's. I'm kind of getting off topic because I really wanted this to be about filters, but never buy a liner from really any one of these big box stores. You're better off going to an actual local pond store, not our pond store, but just any local pond store would have something better for basically the exact same price. So you want to stay away from those liners. But what I really want to get into is those filters that I mentioned. The filters that are rated for, you'll look on the box and it says rated for 500 rated for a 500 gallon pond, or rated for a 900 gallon pond, or this is rated for a 1,000 gallon pond. This is going to sound weird if you don't already have experience with this, but you need to completely ignore those ratings because they are deceptive. They do not take into account what kind of fish you are putting in your pond. So sure, a filter may be appropriate for a filter that is rated for a 500 gallon pond may be appropriate for that 500 gallon pond if that 500 gallon pond only has maybe like 2 goldfish or 3 goldfish and maybe a handful of mosquito fish and maybe like 1 fancy goldfish or maybe one native species fish or something like that, and that's all that it can support. It is deceptive in that if you have a 500 gallon pond, and we've seen this before, like a 500 gallon pond that has, let's say, 2 or 3 foot long koi fish in it, that filter is not going to be adequate for that pond because those huge fish are producing so much waste that filter is not going to be effective. If it is effective, it'll be effective for maybe a day, and then it'll immediately clog up with all the fish waste, and not to mention all the other organic matter that's getting into the pond. If you have plants, the leaves routinely wilt away, as they normally do, and they get sucked into the filter too, and it is just not adequate for that kind of setup. We recently had a case where somebody came by and said, and they explained that their fish had died, and I asked, because this is one of the first questions I asked, because this is such a common issue, what kind of filter are you running on this? Like, what kind of filter do you have? And then the response was, oh yeah, I have one that I bought at Home Depot. It was rated for 500 gallons, so I figured it was good enough for mine. My pond's 300 gallons, and I installed this filter, and it should be working fine. And it's a very awkward kind of conversation to have because it sounds like I'm not actually telling the truth, but I in fact am. Those pond products are very deceptive, and you really should never go by what it says it's rated for on the box. The only thing one of the only things that is a reliable source of information with those is the pond pumps and the gallons per hour. They obviously do not some of them, people have mixed results when you're buying like a sketchy looking pump on Amazon. But for the most part, general rule of thumb, those measurements or those ratings for those pumps are accurate. So that's fine. But what I'm addressing right now is the pond filters. The pond filters and the pond ratings, or the pond size ratings, the gallons that it, or the amount of gallons that it can handle, are not accurate. And it's due. And I want, this is the main takeaway I want everyone to take away from the video, is that those do not take into account what kind of fish you have. I would love it if these manufacturers started listing, like, instead of that, this filter is rated for 2 goldfish. This filter is rated for 12 goldfish. This filter is rated for 2 large foot plus koi. This filter can accommodate this many fish. But they're never going to do that because it's way too difficult. And even then, that doesn't factor in things like how much you're feeding the fish and are there any live plants in the pond, because if there's no live plants, then the filter really has to pick up the slack because there's no plants naturally filtering the pond. So the filter would need to be even larger if there is no natural plants in the pond, taking away those harmful fish waste, other things in the pond that are going to degrade the water quality. So there's really no rule of thumb, and because there's no exact rule of thumb for it, the manufacturers have just opted to, I don't want to say lie, but it is really, it's to me anyway, it is essentially a lie what is on the box. It is, while it may be rated for a 500 gallon pond, there is just no way to know what pond, if it is appropriate for the pond that you're building, because the manufacturers do not know how you are going to apply that or install the filter, and what kind of application you're going to need it for. I know this video is running pretty long. We're at the 11-minute mark here, and there's a lot more I would like to say on it, and maybe we'll break it into several other videos. But I think that's going to do it for this video. I've pretty well covered what I want to cover. I think that if you're building a pond from scratch, or even if you're trying to renew a pond that you inherited, or you're trying to redo just parts of your pond, just sections of your pond, and you're looking to redo the filter, you really cannot go wrong with something that's homemade, like this trash can that I was showing you at the beginning of the video. You really can't go wrong with something like that. I think that if you have the option, you should always go for custom. I know it can be intimidating. It's really not that difficult to build. One day when we're building a new filter, I'll definitely record that, and we'll post a video about how we build filters here. But you can find many of them on YouTube that are just as good, and quite frankly, the videos that I learned from are on YouTube. So go check out how to build a pond filter. There's several very high quality videos from many different YouTubers about that subject. So go check that out. But no, the main takeaway, like I said, I wish that people knew that there is not a general rule of thumb for pond filters. The packaging on it's very deceptive, and they don't know your situation. I wish I could get into other filters, like a sand filter, or there's just so many other types of pond filters you can put on. We don't have experience with those because quite frankly, we don't have the money to buy those kind of filters. They're very, very expensive, many thousands of dollars to buy a system like that. And we found that the custom stuff just does just fine for us. So I really couldn't comment on those. I'm sure those, I'm not familiar how they rate them either, what their ratings are. I'm sure it's much better than the kind of consumer level pond stuff that a lot of the manufacturers for the small pond stuff use. So that about wraps up the video. I appreciate you being here and listening to this. I hope it didn't come off as too much of a rant, but I get passionate about this stuff because it's somewhat frustrating for me, because it, in a way, if you're doing it if you're inadvertently going in the wrong direction and being misled because of these poor labelings by these pond manufacturers, then it can really quickly discourage you from enjoying this hobby. If you're not satisfied with what you've built and it becomes more of a chore than it is just a peaceful place in your garden to relax, then there's really hardly any incentive to keep it. You have to love this, and you have to love everything about it in order to get the most joy and the most pleasure out of it. And because a lot of people accidentally go in the wrong direction when they're building a pond, and more specifically a pond filter, it can end up really leaving a negative experience on the person that's building the pond. And that's obviously, for me anyway, as somebody that deals with this stuff and really, loves connecting with people that share the same passion, that the whole idea that happens routinely really makes me upset and very sad, because it shouldn't be like that. And it's unfortunate that we have to be the ones out here telling consumers that they need to really do their research, and they really should not. They should be aware of what they're looking at, and know the reality of what they're buying. And I can tell you that most of those, I'm not going to call them cheap, because they're not even cheap. Like, it would be one thing if they were cheap and they were misleading, but it's the opposite. They're expensive and they're misleading, and they're often not very high quality at all. They usually last maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and that's it. So it's just overall not a great experience at all. You are far better off building something like this, another large custom filter. You can see I'm not lying. We have all custom filters on our ponds. This is another brute trash can, exact same design. This one slightly smaller outlet pipes. We could easily change that though if we wanted to, but it works well for this. Everything's custom. And what doesn't have a filter, these little rice fish ponds, that's just air stones in there. There's no actual filter in here. Nothing. So it's just all natural with these ones. But anyway, we're getting back into the video, and that's pretty well what I wanted to talk about today. Please, if you have any questions at all about pond filters, I know inevitably I missed some points that I wanted to address, but overall the takeaway is just build a custom one. And if you don't know where to start, please go on YouTube, look up how to build a pond filter. There are a plethora of videos out there that are very high quality, and they'll get you set up right away. And the building cost is right about what you would pay for something pre-made, and it's going to, if you build it custom, it will last for much longer than a comparably priced pre-made filter. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to help you out, love to answer any questions you have. If you're building a pond, if you're building onto an existing pond, if you're just getting started, if you want to just know all the general information for building a pond, please go ahead and ask it in the comments. I get email notification when somebody comments, so I'd be happy to answer questions. As always, if you're located in the greater St. Louis, Missouri area, we are Koi City STL. We're located 15 minutes from downtown St. Louis in the heart of Webster Groves. Please feel free to schedule an appointment. We are not currently walk-in. It's by appointment only. So please give us a call. We have a lot of availability though. So please feel free to, if you're in the neighborhood, if you're in the state, if you just happen to be in St. Louis, please give us a call. We'd love to schedule an appointment for you. Come by and see all of our stuff. Most of the stuff you're looking at right now is for sale. We got a great selection of plants. We just got this parrot's feather in the other day, and it's doing great. I love the way that looks, so that'll be for sale. Anything at all, just give us a call or a text. Thank you very much for watching this video. My name's CJ. This is Koi City STL. We will see you in the next video. Take care.